welcome. I'm grateful you're here in this quiet moment, choosing rest, choosing peace, choosing to draw near to God as the night settles in. As you prepare to rest, let this bedtime story become a soft place for your mind and spirit to settle. Allow these words to quiet the noise of the day, slow your breathing, and draw you into the calming presence of God. As the night settles gently around you and the world begins to grow quiet, this story opens softly. This story is not asking for your attention. It is offering you peace. The kind of peace that does not depend on circumstances being calm. The kind of peace that remains even when life feels unsettled. Tonight, this is a story about Jesus, and about a peace so steady you can rest even when the world feels uncertain. Night has a way of revealing what the day hides. When activity slows and distractions fade, thoughts can rise more easily. Worries can feel closer. The body may struggle to fully relax. God understands this space. Throughout Scripture, the night is often where God's peace is revealed most clearly. Not because everything is resolved, but because God is near. And so this story begins here, in the quiet. As you rest now, allow your breathing to slow naturally. Long ago, as evening settled over the land, Jesus and his disciples prepared to cross the water. The day had been full, and the light was beginning to fade. The sea stretched out before them wide, darkening and gently moving. There was nothing unusual about the journey. Boats moved across these waters often. The disciples were familiar with the sea. They knew its rhythms, its patterns, its moods. As the boat moved forward, there was a sense of ordinary motion, the quiet rocking of water beneath them, the soft sounds of movement, the steady passage into night. At first, everything felt calm, the kind of calm that invites rest. This moment matters. Peace often begins before we recognize it, and God's presence does not wait for perfection. It meets us right where we are. As the boat continued across the water, Jesus lay down and slept. His rest was deep, untroubled, complete. The gentle motion of the boat did not disturb him. The night did not concern him. While others remained alert, Jesus rested fully. This is one of the most comforting details in the story. Jesus was not pretending to be calm. He was calm, not because the sea was perfectly still, but because peace lived within him. His rest was not avoidance. It was trust. And this rest tells us something important. God is not shaken by what feels overwhelming to us. God does not become anxious when circumstances shift. Jesus slept not because he was unaware, but because he was secure. This kind of peace does not come from control. It comes from confidence. Confidence in God's care. Confidence in God's authority. Confidence in God's nearness. As you listen now, allow this image to settle gently in your mind. Jesus resting peacefully, the boat rocking softly, the night holding everything in quiet balance. Peace is already present. As time passed, the atmosphere began to change. The wind picked up slightly. The movement of the boat grew more noticeable. Waves began to rise, not suddenly, but steadily. The sea did what seas sometimes do. And still, Jesus slept. Inside the boat, there was motion, but there was also containment. The boat held firm. This is important. The story does not focus on danger. It focuses on presence. The storm did not define the moment. Peace did. Even as the wind increased, the boat remained intact. Even as the waves rose, the space within the boat remained held, and Jesus remained at rest. This is how God's peace often works. It does not always stop movement immediately. It does not always remove sensation, but it creates safety within it. Movement does not mean danger. Sensation does not mean loss of control. Peace can exist even while things shift. As the storm continued, the disciples became afraid. Their fear was human, understandable, unjudged. They did what people often do when fear rises. They reached for Jesus. They woke him, not in anger, but in need. Their fear did not disqualify them from his care. Fear does not separate us from God. When we feel afraid, God remains near. Even in the moment of fear, Jesus' presence was unchanged. He was still in the boat, still near, still calm, and that calm had not been interrupted. Even when peace feels distant to us, it is not absent. Even when anxiety rises, God's peace remains steady. God's peace is not fragile. It does not depend on your emotional state. It is present because God is present. And just as Jesus remained in the boat with his disciples, he remains with you now, unmoved, unhurried, unshaken. The story gently pauses with Jesus still present, still calm, still at rest. The storm has not yet ended, but peace is already here, and that is enough for now. If your body feels heavy, let it rest. If your thoughts feel slow, let them drift. You do not need to stay alert. You are safe. God's peace is not waiting on the storm to end. It is already with you. Just as the boat was held, you are held. Just as Jesus rested, you may rest too. The night is quiet, the moment is gentle, and peace surrounds you. You can let go now. God's peace is steady, and you may sleep, resting safely in his care. When the disciples woke him, there was no sudden movement, no urgency, no alarm. Jesus opened his eyes calmly, as though the storm had not disturbed the peace within him. He rose without haste. The boat continued to move beneath his feet, the wind still present, the waves still rolling. And yet, his presence did not change. Jesus did not rush to fix the situation. He did not react from fear. He stood steady, grounded, composed. God's response to chaos is never frantic. Even when circumstances feel overwhelming, God remains centered. As you rest now, imagine this scene gently. Jesus standing in the boat, balanced and calm, unmoved by the movement around him. Peace does not require still surroundings. It lives within God's presence. Jesus spoke, not loudly, not forcefully. His words were simple, complete, and sure. He did not strain his voice. He did not shout over the storm. He spoke with authority that did not need volume, and his words carried peace. There was no argument with the wind, no struggle with the waves, only a quiet command. God's power does not compete with chaos. It calms it. The voice that spoke the sea into being did not need to prove itself. Peace followed his words naturally. Allow the tone of this moment to settle within you. The water began to smooth. Calm spread gently across the surface, as though the sea itself was settling into rest. The rocking of the boat eased. The sounds grew quieter. Silence returned. This stillness was not empty. It was full of peace. The kind of peace that reaches deep and quiets what has been restless. The disciples did not need to do anything to make this happen. They did not need to hold on tightly. The calm came because Jesus spoke, and now everything rested. If your body feels tense, imagine this calm spreading gently through you from the chest to the shoulders to the breath. No effort, just release. God's peace does not push, it settles. When the sea grew still, there was a noticeable quiet, not only around them, but within them. The fear that had risen began to loosen its hold. The boat floated gently, steady and secure. Jesus remained present. He did not leave once the calm arrived. His presence was constant before, during, and after the storm. This is deeply comforting. God's care does not end when anxiety subsides. God remains with us in the quiet that follows. Peace is not temporary. It is sustained by God's nearness. As you rest now, notice the quiet within this moment. The story does not rush forward. It lingers in calm. The night around the boat felt different now, softer, quieter, held. The sea reflected stillness. The air felt gentle. Everything had settled, and Jesus was still there. With calm established, with fear eased, with peace present. After the sea had grown still, nothing needed to be said right away. The quiet itself felt complete. The boat rested gently on calm water, no longer rocking, no longer unsettled, and Jesus remained with them. His presence did not change once the storm passed. He did not hurry away. He did not withdraw. He stayed. God's peace is not only present when things feel out of control, it remains when calm returns. Jesus' nearness was steady before the storm, during the storm, and after the calm. The disciples were no longer bracing themselves. Their bodies softened, their breathing slowed. They were safe. And safety did not come because they had done something right. It came because Jesus was with them. As you rest now, let this truth settle gently. God's presence is constant. It does not fluctuate with circumstances. It does not fade when anxiety eases. It stays. You are not left alone once peace arrives. You are accompanied through every moment. The stillness around the boat was not fragile. It did not feel like something that might disappear at any second. It felt settled, the kind of peace that reaches beneath the surface. The disciples did not need to analyze it. They did not need to explain it. They simply rested within it. This is the nature of God's peace. It does not require understanding. It does not ask for effort. It is given. And in this calm, the disciples learned something without words. Peace does not depend on the absence of storms. It depends on the presence of God. Peace can arrive even after fear has been loud. Calm can return even if it felt unreachable before. God is not shaken by the intensity of what you feel. He meets you with steadiness. And when peace comes, He stays. As the story comes to a gentle close, we return to this quiet night. The sea is calm. The boat is steady. Jesus is present. Nothing presses in. Nothing demands attention. You are safe to rest here. If your body feels heavy, allow it to sink into rest. If your thoughts feel distant, let them drift. You do not need to stay alert. You do not need to prepare for anything else tonight. God is not shaken. Peace is possible, and you can rest safely. Just as the disciples rested in the boat, you are resting now within God's care. The night is quiet. The moment is gentle, and God's peace surrounds you steady, calm, and near. Sleep may come softly, without notice. That is okay. God's presence does not leave when awareness fades. He remains through the night, watchful and near. You are held. You are safe. You are at peace. Rest now. The storm has passed. The sea is still, and God is with you. If these moments with God brought comfort to your heart, please like and subscribe so this peaceful space can become part of your nightly rhythm. Good night. God bless, and may God's favor be upon you. See you soon.